Coming to you live from the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea, Ohio, this is Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Charlie Hewlett to snap. It goes back to Gillen, and he left foots it down the field. Down the field it comes. Roberts caught it. He fumbled the ball, and Taki recovers it. Third and goal. Here's Mayfield. They give it to the fullback, Janovich. He drives left side, and he's in. Touchdown, Andy Janovich. And the Browns take the big turnover garnered in by Sione Taki on the muff punt by Andre Roberts, and they take it in for a touchdown and make the Texans pay. And Njoku, Higgins, Peoples-Jones to the left. Quick snap. Mayfield back, pulls it down. He's going to run, and he's going to drive. Touchdown, Baker Mayfield! Unbelievable!
Hey, he fears nothing. Bad shoulder and all, he went in head first.
Three receivers out wide to the right. Hooper comes in motion right to left. Mayfield throws, bubble screen left. Here's Felton, 30, 25. He spins, 20, still going, 15. He's to the 10, 5, touchdown!
One heck of a run by the rookie.
Demetric Felton, what a run! And the Browns are back on top. It's 20-14. Two receivers left, one right. He's got the snap, back in his own end zone. Steps and throws, and it is a fight for the ball. Roberts in there with one of the Browns defenders. And it's Cleveland ball.
Malcolm Smith
Got it. Mayfield takes the snap, back, up in the pocket. He's going to run. 25, 30, please slide. And he goes running into his own bench at the 30-yard line. Got a first down. Mayfield takes it, gives it. Chubb runs. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. He's in. Touchdown, Nick Chubb.
He didn't jump you.
Oh, what a run. Davis Mills takes the snap. Blitz coming, and he got rocked. And the ball came out. Picked up by one of the offensive linemen.
Cannon.
Grant Delpit laid him out. What a hit on Davis Mills. Final score today, the Browns winning. And a good time was had by all. The Browns 31 and the Texans 21.
Here are your hosts, Beau Bishop and Nathan Zegura.
You guys ready?
Yep.
You're up.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing on a Victory Monday edition of the program. Welcome into Cleveland Browns Daily. I'm merely Beau. He is the great Z. And it is rare that the most beautiful thing of a Jim Donovan call is not the voice and the words of Jim Donovan. But in this one instance, it's what's behind the voice, and that is the cheering, which was so loud and so great. And what an awesome day down at the stadium, my friend.
It was great to be there. And for me personally, be back on the sidelines in front of our full capacity crowd, which was loud.
Yeah.
And I know Gibbe will come on and talk about it. It was so loud that it was affecting the broadcast. They couldn't even hear themselves in their own ears. That's how loud the crowd was. It was special. I got goosebumps. I got to do my little scoreboard thing and get.
Let's not undersell.
Not undersell. Get the people pumped up yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. And just kind of the energy there was electric.
I think you could in certain circles you could double in like commercials as like a hype man. Like I think you have that ability in you, and I believe I'm probably the ability. I'm probably the first person who's ever thought of that. But I just so you know, that's what I think.
I'm gonna write that down.
Write it down.
I'm gonna write that down.
In
maybe somebody
will
say,
take
hey,
notice.
Maybe if there's something happening with the Browns or First Energy Stadium,
maybe
we'll get Zegura.
Get the kid out there. No, it was special. The hype video was awesome. The crowd was awesome.
So Chelsea's not even listening to all the fun we're having.
We don't even know what's. I mean, what happened last Friday on his 4-1 on over-unders, and then he runs it right back.
Another
just
4-1.
Stacks another one. I mean, it's unbelievable where he's at.
We'll talk to you Friday at 1:30.
I bet we will.
I bet we will.
Look, it was awesome. It was great to have everybody back. You see the enthusiasm around the city. You see the enthusiasm in our fan base. It's an awesome, awesome thing. To get the win is special. It is done so, obviously, with a little bit. You come out of it with mixed feelings with the injury to Jarvis that happens so early in the game, and we know how important he is to everything, and hopefully he gets back as soon as possible. But when you hear Coach say week to week, that's tough. The injury to Baker took 5 years off my life when he ran off. I thought, my God, did he break a collarbone? That's what
I
I
was worried about.
I thought, oh my God, he broke a collarbone. We're done. That's it. Get case ready. I mean, it was full panic.
So I was on the sideline. So he comes off, and his arm is hanging, and you knew at that point there were really only two options.
Both
right?
bad.
Separated shoulder or dislocated shoulder or collarbone. He came over, and I remember that they kind of put him in the tent for just a second, and then they went right to the locker room.
I hated that.
AVP was already on the bench with Case, and I remember doing a sideline hit, and I said, it doesn't look good. He was clearly in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I could ascertain that, and I said, I'm not saying we won't see him again, but I would imagine it might not be immediate. And literally 5 seconds after that, he comes running right back out, and I was like, this guy's an animal. And you could tell it was bothering him. Like even
clearly, yeah.
When he ran in for the touchdown, he didn't move the left arm up or down. He didn't want anybody to touch him on his left side. You could tell kind of on some of the throws he winced a little bit. We really stopped throwing the ball down the field after that. And people say, well, it's his left shoulder, not his right. But you use your whole body when you're torquing and throwing. And so I thought the Browns did a great job of going around that. Hopefully he'll improve now for this weekend so you can, kind of open everything up again. But what an incredibly gutsy performance by him. The toughness off the charts and the leadership, and you could tell it provided a boost. I mean, he comes back from that. We're down 14-7.
Yep.
And we go 75 yards for a touchdown, culminated by his run. Now, I'm sure when he watches that back, he's going to say, I should have just thrown it to Donovan, right, who was when they blew the coverage in the left corner. But nonetheless, he ran it right in, and he moved so quickly from about the 3 to the goal line because I think he knew I'm going to get hit, and
sure.
I don't want to get hit right now. And he scooted in there for that touchdown. But just tremendous guts and leadership, and obviously a huge blow with Jarvis going down. Jarvis is going to be a big part of this game plan. I mean, a lot of what they had was built around Jarvis Landry because when you play a team that is so cover too heavy like they were, it's the middle of the field is where you work. Now, we saw the beautiful ball in that soft spot in the cover 2 behind the corner before the safe get over to Harrison Bryant on the early drives, the second possession where we ended up scoring. But for the most part, you're working the middle of the field in those soft zones, and that's why Harrison and Njoku and Austin Hooper had 5 catches. Your tight ends did the majority of your work because of the defense that was played against you, but Jarvis would live in that world and make a lot of those catches in the middle of the field. So huge loss. Hope he is back soon. You know how much we love him. We wanted to have in here a jersey. We requested it. Met with Chesty Gibbe's planning his parade for Friday. So he's like, I have no time for anything else
to track down jerseys.
Yeah.
Can we get a Jarvis jersey in here?
Yeah,
Anyone?
I asked for a jersey at like 12:20. Coach is in the middle of his Monday presser.
Are you suggesting that Coach would be the person who would be getting you the jersey?
Yeah, no. Don't you have minions? Man of your status, Gibbe?
Department of One.
Chesty Gibbe. What about it? Where's our Stevie Gibbe?
Problem with a Stevie is they'd have to be tiered.
Why?
Oh, jeez. Just get Stevie.
Only on Thursday, so give me it's a Stevie who doesn't work Thursdays.
It was 12:14.
It's a Thursday-less Stevie. Yeah, that's by my calculation, it's 46
He's not
minutes.
Dead.
45 minutes.
Coach said he might even play this week.
We need the
Who
presence.
said we need the
We need the presence.
The
to
mojo.
Lift us up.
The mojo.
I don't want to talk about not having juice.
No.
Hate to
We're
see
just
it.
saying we're here for him. I thought we had a real nice studio design meeting this morning at 12:14. And quite frankly, I'm shocked. Here we are.
We're done.
52, the two of you had
51 minutes
fantastic
later,
little
and it's
thing
not
going.
done.
Gibby, you didn't even respond to the most amazing video that I've seen shot in Cleveland at least the last 6 months.
No, not even a
response.
Even care. Unless it's about him. The only thing I think he
I'm
liked
trying to figure out
was
how
the Chesty
that guy
Gibbe
can drive the
picture.
car through this studio on Friday.
Find him. Find
he
that
should
man.
be leading your parade.
It's
the guy in the
I
mini
feel
car.
like Dr. Richard Kimball. You find that man.
Find him.
I want him on this show. I want that
Very
guy
good
on this
fugitive.
show. That was great.
Yeah, fugitive.
So yeah, the Jarvis the Jarvis is the kind of the cloud over it. But that could have been. I'm glad MCL sprain.
Could have been worse. And under the scenarios, best case scenario. And it's funny watching it back. It happened obviously on that screen. And you didn't see anything unusual. What you did see when you watched the tape back was the reaction of everybody around. Batonio immediately knew something was going on, and then Baker sprints in. So there must have been an audible, this was not pleasant. And I saw Jarvis trying to work it out on the sideline. And very stoic at the time, and you could just tell he knew he couldn't do it, and so in he went to the tunnel, and he did not return. Now, ironically enough, that touchdown to Demetric Felton was the exact same play that we ran the bubble screen to Jarvis, just flipped on the other side. Tight end goes in motion to be that lead block on the first kick-out block on the screen, and that's what we did. And Demetric Felton, boy, he did the rest. Kid was pretty shifty right there.
Andrew Berry on 6-rounders.
No
Pretty
big
strong.
deal. No big deal.
Pretty strong with those 6-rounders.
Yeah, so far.
He was obvious, though, early in camp that there was a gear to him. And I remember even talking about him in the draft of he was the perfect player to be drafted for what we wanted because of his dual training that would have occurred at UCLA. That offense was something that would only help him, and you're seeing that early on in his NFL career. Anxious moments on the fumbled punt at the end of the first half. That's an anxious moment as well. But the positives far outweigh that for him. It's interesting. You're kind of at a point, you win by 10, and you say, because the standard is now so high, I mean, what do we have, 8 rushing touchdowns already this year?
7, yeah.
7 rushing touchdowns already this year.
Yeah.
You think about you win by 10 over an NFL team. And by the way, look around the league and go see what happens on any given Sunday around the league.
Look.
You're playing pros too.
Of course.
And you get a win. Is it as big as lopsided? Are there questions? Yeah, for sure. You're held to a different standard now. Defensively, an inability to get off the field on third down it's troubling. In terms of it's the second week in a row. It's not quite as egregious this week, but it's the second week in a row where the opposition runs more plays than you do. So that kind of feeds into that thing a little bit. So all of those things are reasons for concern when you're holding yourself to the highest standard. But look around the league and look what happened in week 2, and look at the teams that you thought were flying high and lose or come back to earth in the case of the Saints. The NFL, you're playing pros. It's a long season. You win by 10, and in the end, that's the positive you take.
It is. Once again, though, multiple giveaways for this football team. Can't have that. That's 2 games in a row with multiple giveaways. You can't have that. You mentioned the third down defense. The third down defense, the Browns ultimately gave up 8 of 14 on third downs, including multiple 3rd and 9s.
Yeah, long.
You cannot have that. And frankly, it was only the number ended up being only that good because of Davis Mills. When Tyrod Taylor was in there, and that's part of the problem is, people are saying, well, what if Tyrod didn't get hurt? Well, I don't know.
It was going to be tight.
He was 10 of 11 for 125 yards and a touchdown, quarterback rating of 144 in the first half. I think he converted all of his third downs. I don't recall them punting in that first half. They had their turnovers as well. We punted it to them. They turned it over. Taki, right place at the right time. We score. Then they score twice, and we ultimately get the ball back with Baker and tie the game in the first half. But, the end of the first half is the only time that they think they punted, right? They may have punted one other time in the first half. I'm looking for those dry hairs, the ball charts. Houston Texans, touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt. That was their first half, but the last one was one punt. We forced one punt on a 6-play, 29-yard drive on that one that we stopped them right at midfield. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. A befuddling, perhaps the most perplexing coaching decision I've ever seen in my life.
Well, there were a couple more in the afternoon that equaled it. And I will say this for David.
I can't wait to hear about that because I didn't get to watch.
Well, what Mike McCarthy did at the end at Dallas, which forced he got bailed out because Zerline hit a 56-yarder to win it. But they basically they did not stop the clock until there was no choice for anything other than a 56-yard field goal. They didn't snap the ball, so they took it all the way down to 4 seconds. He had to hit a 56-yarder to win it for the Cowboys in L.A. I mean, so there was a lot.
Okay.
I will say this to Cully though, he owned it this morning.
What did he say?
My bad, I screwed it up.
What was his?
Didn't have any. Just said, my bad, I screwed it up. I made a mistake.
I mean, I can't even fathom.
It was hard to wrap your head around.
Rationale. So you're saying, right?
I don't know.
You had 4th and 1. You gained 14 on 3rd and 15. So you had 4th and 1, which you could then go for it.
Yeah. The only way you decline that is to go for it, obviously.
Right. Because if you accept it, if you know you're punting and not going for a 4th and 1, you accept it. Because the only rationale to do what he did would be that you think it is more likely that you turn the ball over at that spot on 3rd down and have like a pick 6 or a sack strip fumble. By the way, your quarterback at that point was pretty much unstoppable because you're giving the ball back to the Browns anyway.
Correct.
It was like, I couldn't believe what's happening.
It's crazy.
We're like, watch, this got to be a fake, right? I mean, but it's the most obvious fake ever.
I just assumed they were just going to go for it and thought,
Same.
4th and 1, okay, let's get a yard. But then the punt crew went out and it's like, okay. I don't know.
Why would you try? At least you've already
I don't
converted
know.
a 3rd and 9.
I don't know.
It was bonkers.
It was. It absolutely was. But again, he owned it this morning and said, I screwed it up, and so that was probably a pretty good job out of him. What did you like most about the game yesterday in terms of what we did?
I thought we played, incredibly efficient. Again, the turnovers have got to stop. The turnovers have to stop. I thought the one to Donovan Peoples-Jones, that's such a bang play. You catch the post and a dude comes in.
Helmet.
You're looking this way to catch the ball and turning, and as you do that, he comes in with his helmet right on the ball.
They're pros too, and he made a great play. The defender made a great play on that. It's the only place you hit where that happens. It's a one. I actually initially thought, gosh, is that incomplete? It was so quick.
Fast.
It was so quick. I was hoping it was incomplete, but he did get the 2 steps in, and it was just helmet had on the ball, and it was.
I don't even know what he could have done other than to do like an old Isaac Bruce, where you just kind of catch it and fall on an inward breaking route.
Yeah,
just where you just kind of catch it, go right to the ground. But I think that was some bad luck. The interception, I think that one probably just got a little bit away from Baker, and it's also Anthony Schwartz running that route. We don't know if. I'm curious to find out kind of high level of what they thought on that play, because it looked like even if Schwartz sprinted in, he wouldn't have gotten to that ball. But it also looked like he did not sprint in on the inward portion of the route that he ran.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that one was, but we've got to clean that up. Other than that, once again, for the second straight week, you can name Baker's incompletions in a heartbeat. And by the way, they were back-to-back plays. He thought his Chief was running more of a seam against that cover 3 and tried to fit it in over through that, or there's a miscommunication, and then the next play was the interception. That's it. That's the only time the ball touched the ground.
Leads the NFL in completion percentage.
Yes, he does.
Leads the NFL.
And he's second in yards per attempt. So
19 of 21.
The efficiency there, 19 of 21, which puts him at 40 of 49 on the season. 40 of 49, Beau, which is pretty good. And this is a guy that last year was, 63% completions, which was a career high?
Yeah.
And we're operating at a level, and, a lot's been made about, they didn't throw it to the receivers enough. This was a game against a cover 2 defense that is designed to funnel the football into the middle of the field and then to come up and tackle. You always have 2 deep safeties. Yes, you can stress the seams a little bit, and you could stress those soft spots behind the corners and then before the safeties can get over. And we had a couple plays in those areas, but the most part, this is going to be a game about running the football against that cover 2 and throwing into the middle of the field. And Baker did it incredibly efficiently. I think he'd go back and watch the tape and he'd say, there was a play here or a play there where the ball could have gone elsewhere for perhaps a bigger play.
Yeah.
But in all of those, he still made completions.
Right.
Or he made a positive play out of it. So I thought his efficiency, his understanding is just wonderful to see.
You have to have a lot of quarterback discipline to play cover 2 because it's frustrating, because you're going over the middle, you're going underneath. It's death by 1,000 cuts is what you do offensively. So you run it, you throw it over the middle. That's what you do. The big chunks usually aren't there. That's the whole idea of the defense, right, folks?
It's a shell.
It's a shell. So the idea is everything stays in front of you. You have to find these little spots. You have to have discipline and patience to do them, and we did. You ran the ball 34 times for 156, 4.5 a carry. Nick Chubb, 8.6 on 11 for 95. He's so good. Kareem is so good, too. Kareem's ability to plant and get upfield is just – it's incredible that we have those guys. And we are a team that can win a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And that's the thing that you take away from this one. Defensively, we talked about an inability on 3rd down to get off. I don't know that we're probably generating what we thought we would generate up front in the game against Houston. I don't know if you generated what you thought you would have had. But if you're looking for positive signs, the guy wearing double deuce would be the positive sign because he was shot out of a cannon. And he looked to think that was his debut. He should have had 2 sacks, right? I think they only credited him for 1.
Well, they originally ruled the first one a sack when it was a busted play, and then Mills rolled out, but he was looking to throw the ball.
Looking to throw the ball.
And sacked him. Now they've changed it to just a tackle for loss. So he should have the stats don't add up to me. He has to have a minimum of 2 tackles for loss because one's a sack.
One's
that
a sack.
counts as a tackle for loss,
right.
And then he had a tackle for a loss.
Yeah. And he looked like everything we drafted him to be.
The last play of the first half before they punted went a missile.
Yeah.
He looks different than everybody else on the field, which is what we had said at camp.
Yeah, you remember in camp to stand out amongst people like that lets you know what you're dealing with. So I thought that was incredibly positive. The injuries on that side, Taki today, week to week as well.
And he had a nice game.
And he did have a nice game. In fact, let's get an update. This was from Coach Stefanski from within the past hour on the injury update. Here's Coach.
Okay, on the injury front, Jarvis has an MCL sprain. He'll be week to week. Taki has a hamstring strain. He's week to week. And Hub is improving, but he remains week to week.
You're up.
Okay, so there's where you sit with those three injuries on that standpoint. From that standpoint, so it's 31-21 in the books. You are 1-1. Our entire division is 1-1 after 2 weeks. After some things that's hard to understand, the way Baltimore plays in Las Vegas, and then the way they played last night, Pittsburgh, the way that they played. All of the concerns that we talked about last week from Ben, not our concerns, their problems, they're all still there, man. They're all still there.
Yeah.
He was wildly inaccurate, and an inability to hit a check down is crazy. It's crazy through 2 weeks there.
He's got the yips on those short ones.
It does, yeah.
Najee, when he actually gets it to him, he can make plays.
Najee Harris should have 12 catches a game, and he gets like 5 because of it. It's crazy. And Joe Burrow, I don't know if he's going to make it through the year. He was bludgeoned by the Bears, absolutely bludgeoned, and there's no end in sight. So 2 weeks in, everybody's 1-1. You're 1-1. It's a victory Monday. By the way, Joe Thomas is putting Steelers fans in body bags.
Yeah,
so you have that to look forward to, which is a lot of fun.
We'll have to ask him about that. Some back and forth.
Speaking of the Hoff, he joins us today from 2 to 3, and we want your questions for him. Please tweet them to Gibbe at Browns_daily on Twitter, and we will get to that around 2:15 when we hit the Hey Joe segment. I also want to tell you that the Browns bundle is back at Buffalo Wild Wings for the 2021 season. Participating Ohio Buffalo Wild Wings locations during the season with the purchase of a Browns bundle, fans get a limited edition collectible Browns glass. The $14.99 bundle, 6-piece boneless or traditional wing, fries, and a glass. The season's collection honors the Browns' 75th anniversary, 3 unique designs, 75th anniversary throwback brownie, and the 1946 patch. Those were your OBM Hot Topics. Ohio Business Machine, preferred copy provider, your Cleveland Browns. They have all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. We will have more from Coach Stefanski's presser. It's a Victory Monday edition of the program. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. You're dedicated to bring the best value to your customers. You've got to do a little work along the way, and Northeast Factory Direct was founded on the principle quality shouldn't have to cost a ton. They prove that every day. They keep the overhead low, buy by the truckloads, and they pass the savings on to you. During Northeast Factory Direct's garage sale, you can find a queen pillow top mattress starting at just $399, double-sided pillow tops for $699, and when you buy that queen prestige mattress for $699 or king prestige for $799, you're going to get a bundle of free stuff, a set of sheets, 2 pillows, a mattress protector. Check them out, West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, or Freeway Drive in Macedonia. You can shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. We played a little bit of Coach Stefanski's presser earlier in this program discussing the injuries. Here are some other highlights from Coach from within the last hour.
For us to clean up, there's plenty of corrections to be made, and that's what the guys are working hard on today and making those corrections, so we can go out this week and play better football against a one-on-one Chicago Bears team coming to our place. With that, I will take any questions you guys have.
With Jarvis, are you going to be able to avoid an IR situation with him? Would this be a less than 3-week situation?
I think we'll see. Tom, we'll work through all those type of decisions over the next few days, if you will. But I will see.
Obviously, you don't replace a guy like him. In terms of Odell, could this bring him up earlier? And then what is the situation with Davion Davis? Will he be activated?
Yeah, I'd say the Odell situation is really not dependent on the availability of anybody else. So we'll, again, continue to bring him along and then see when he's ready to go. And then Davion Davis, I don't really have an update there, Tom, on that one.
Hey, Kevin, do you have an update on Jedrick Wills in addition to those other guys?
Yeah, I'd tell you, Nate, he's no worse for the wear. I was really proud of him for how he responded, wanting to go out there, competed. And like I said, he got stiff, and I thought it was the right thing to do to take him out. But that's a big deal, and I think your teammates recognize that, but that's a big deal when you fight to make it to Sunday.
And Kevin, with you saying Jarvis is week to week, are you ruling him out for Sunday against the Bears?
Yeah, Nate, I'll just hold off on any of those type of decisions. I'll just tell you we're working through all those things.
Yeah, Kevin, have you had a chance to talk to Baker today, just how his shoulder is feeling?
I haven't had a chance to talk to Baker yet today. I know obviously our training staff has talked to him. He's doing fine. He's sore. He's doing fine.
Hey, Kevin, was the plan to play Grant Delpit as much as he did yesterday?
Yes. Yeah, he had him on a pitch count, wanted him to get his first couple plays under his belt, and he did a nice job.
And I mean, after watching the film, how did he show up to you? It seemed like he made plays kind of in all areas of the field.
Yeah, he really did, Scott. He filled the run well there at the end of the first half. Obviously made a splash play with the sack fumble late in the game, but by and large, he was where he was supposed to be. Was it perfect? No, but that's his first NFL football game. So I thought a really good effort for his first time out there.
Hey, Coach, after looking at the film, what's some of the things you see that you can, infuse or get the pass rush, from the front going? I mean, what's missing?
Yeah, Fred, I tell you, it's never one thing. It's a combination of rush and coverage when you're talking about those passing situations. So there are definitely things we can do better up front. There are definitely things we can do better in the back end because they go together. So that's one of the things we're going to work very hard on this week to have an improvement in that area because we need to be better on third down.
Along those lines, about the defensive tackles, are you getting what you need from them? I mean, Miles mentioned yesterday he was inside a lot. I didn't know if that was because of the game plan or because you needed him or, just what do you need from them?
Yeah, Marla, I tell you, I think we need production from anywhere we can get it, across the front, whether you're rushing inside or outside. We're always going to have a rush plan based on what we think they're going to do. So we will at times move guys around, or at times we'll do straight rush from a normal 4-down front. And we just got to make sure we're using our technique and try and get home. I would tell you they did a nice job. The Texans did a nice job of chipping the edges each time. So we just got to stay at it, stay after it, keep working through it, working our techniques, and come up with a rush plan.
We're going
going to be talking to Denzel Ward today. Just wondering what you thought of his game on that first
30.
Tyrod, like he, kind of went after him a little bit, which was sort of surprising. But just in general, how do you think Denzel did in that game?
Yeah, Mary Kay, I tell you, some good moments, some moments I'm sure he wants back. And I know I can already see him working the technique that he's going to work this week and drill down on it. You go against some pretty good wide receivers, they're going to make a play here and there. It's really how you respond. So some good moments and definitely some moments that he's going to work real hard on this week.
You're up.
I know there's a lot of conversation around the defense, and Coach was asked about some of the things defensively that Joe Woods is doing and some of the deficiencies we have, especially in third down and some of the easy throws opposing teams are getting. Certainly there are some things there that you're curious about, but the one thing I would remind, and you and I were talking about it while listening to Coach there, how many snaps have these guys played together? Is it, in terms of all together? I mean, you're talking about injured guys throughout camp. Grant, I mean, how many 11-on-11s did Grant Delbert take place in August?
Not many. At one point it was 9, and then he got hurt again, and then he was hurt again, so not many. And so
there's I guess my point is defense isn't exactly like offense in that you have to have a bunch of reps. It's not like that exactly, but it's possible that some of the stuff that we're doing is in a simplification mode to make sure that big things don't happen down the field.
I think there are a couple things at play. Number one, game 1, you played the best big play offense in the NFL. Your goal was to try to mitigate that and to do as much containment as you could there. I think all in all, that game plan, for the most part, worked against Kansas City. You had the one huge breakdown, but for the most part, I thought your defensive game plan worked. I think this game, and especially as the switch went from Tyrod to Davis Mills, and you can even see it in coach. That's why I think Kevin Stefanski is such a great coach, is he would go for 2 after an offsides penalty on an extra point. He said, we're going to do that, a lot of the time. But in this game, he didn't do it twice because let's just keep a touchdown and a field goal lead on these guys.
Yeah.
Let's be conservative because in this case, the points are our friends. We know we're the better team, and we want to play some shell defense ourselves and not give up a big play to Brandon Cooks, a quick strike play. Now, they almost did hit one, but that's what we're doing. And, this defense, we're leading the league right now in combination of snaps played in cover 3 and quarters, 75.2%. So we are playing a conservative style of defense, and I think part of it could be, is to your point, when's the back 7 all practice together? As soon as, Delpit's in, Anthony Walker's out this week.
Right.
And so there has
JOK missed a week with the
head. Troy Hill missed practice time for a while. It's been all of those things. Here's how I would say it. Does anybody think that this is a playoff defensive performance? No. If this were happening in late November and early December, would I start to say, okay, this is becoming a real concern? Yes, this is the second game of the season in September, and we won. It's a wonderful thing to get to nitpick and to say we're not happy with this coming off of a win. Much better than off of a loss. But again, if this was how things were looking in November, December, late November, December, I'd be very concerned about our defense.
Go back to a year ago and some of the questions we had about our offense.
Think about what we looked like for the first 6 weeks.
Correct.
Granted, we were 4-2 at that point.
Right.
But it wasn't always pretty.
No. And then it clicked. Now, defense, again, it shouldn't take that long, and it probably won't. But I do think that just a lack of familiarity with the parts is real. And now you had this Taki injury to the linebacker room that already was down Anthony Walker. So now that room gets very thin. Delpit, you're working back into the mix. JOK probably a bigger role this week. That's going to be out of necessity. You like what you're seeing from Greg Newsome. So there's some things there that are going to work themselves out, but it takes some time. And again, you win the game by 10. So
yes, and these not excuses. In my opinion, this is, as I said, this is not a winning performance to me as for a team that wants to go into the playoffs. But it's September. It's got to get better. But all hands on deck. You talk about Elijah Lee played 4 defensive snaps for you all year last year. And Elijah Lee comes in and gives you 11 snaps on defense, plays well at 2 spots. Malcolm Smith comes out and plays 58 snaps. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Jeez,
he played phenomenally well in coverage. Comes up with the interception, was in the right place at the right time often in this game. That linebacker room, your top 4 graded players for Pro Football Focus this week on defense. Malcolm Smith, Mac Wilson, Sione Takitaki, Elijah Lee, all defensive players, all linebackers. Your top 4 grade defense players were all linebackers. And Coach Jason Tarver did a great job. Coach Ben Bloom getting that room ready. And we didn't see. Now, we would have thought JOK snaps would have gone up. Only 18 snaps for JOK, which is you're going to need more and more and more. I think they're going to end up probably, if we know you won't have Anthony Walker this week, so Malcolm will be your Mike. Mac Wilson might move to your Sam to kind of give you more of that run support type of a linebacker, and then JOK might end up being your Will.
Well, you're going to need to spy Fields because it's not going to be Dalton. Fields will be the quarterback for Chicago this week, and you're going to need to spy him. So I think that's probably the way that's going to go.
And I wonder if this is a week where we do try to throw some varied coverages and looks at a young quarterback because Fields did not look good throwing the ball.
No, he did not. He was clearly deer in the headlights when Dalton went down. Now, there's nothing official yet, right, Gibby, out of Chicago on
he
Dalton.
Avoided an ACL.
But
there's no ACL,
it's hard
MCL. They think it could be a bone bruise.
Yeah. It's hard for me to imagine.
If it's a bone bruise, he's out for a month anyway.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if he played. Now, they still have Nick Foles, but I don't think that they would go. I mean, they weren't even dressing him. I don't think they'd go all the way there to avoid playing
Fields. The city of
Fields.
Chicago just might burn if Nick Foles was your quarterback.
But that's an example, too. That's an aside, but it's an example of be careful what you wish for. Sometimes coaches are doing things for the right reasons. Dalton was certainly more competent than Justin was in yesterday. Now, Justin, to be fair, did not prepare to play, and so you make the best of it. They will spend this week getting him ready. But one thing about him, the great equalizer with him, is he can go if he's flushed, and he can really hurt you with his legs. So
I didn't get to watch that. I'm guessing you watched some of it, or at least from Red Zone. But he only
primary TDS, and then
31 yards on 10 scrambles is not great.
No, Cincinnati did a good job with their safeties. I mean, they didn't let him kill him. He's a quarterback first. Like, it's not like he looks to do it, but he is somebody who will do it if you give it to him. And I don't think you'd want to be in a situation where, like on the play where Tyrod walked into the end zone. Like, that's one. I mean, Tyrod picked up 20 more yards if he wanted to. That's a 60-yard scramble for Fields if you do that.
Yep.
So that's something where you're going to have to be. That's something that you'll have to prepare for this week. You will hear from Baker. You'll hear from Miles. You'll hear from Nick Chubb. It's all coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, friends, I want to tell you about my friends at EOX Vantage. Local presence, global footprint, trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. I'm going to read a testimonial. This from EOX Vantage client Tom Darty. He's the Senior Vice President of Specialty Programs at the NIP Group. He says, quote, I have a saying about working with EOX Vantage. If you dream it, they can build it. We generate lots of ideas for them to carry out. They've implemented everything we've come up with. We brainstorm ways to innovate and improve our company. We use EOX Vantage for their infrastructure, coding, and programming capabilities, technological expertise, and experience working with the global brands. We're absolutely thrilled with our partnership, and you can learn more about EOX Vantage by visiting www.eoxvantage.com or call 216-298-1616. That's 216-298-1616. Let's hear from Six after the win yesterday over Houston. Here is his assessment of how the offense played.
Not real great. We didn't start well. We made the plays when we needed to later in the game, but turning the ball over twice again, just not good. We're hurting ourselves. We need to learn from these mistakes. Obviously, this week it's better to learn from a win than a loss. But we just have to be better. We have to take care of the ball. We knew that that's what their defense is all about. And we gave 2 balls away.
Takes such the wind out of your sails when you don't score on that first drive, like you come out and you kind of muck it up and you don't get it just takes the wind out of the room when that happens. You go score there. Sometimes you go score right there. It sets a tone and away you go.
And we got very lucky that on the punt following that opening drive where we stalled out, we got the 1 first down, and then the hammer hit a kind of a sidewinder spinner that befuddled a Pro Bowl returner.
Really did,
and Andre Roberts. Taki fell on the ball, and then we went down the field and punched it in, the big ball to Harrison Bryant, setting up Andy Janovich for all the fantasy owners who were delighted.
Browns home touchdown of the season for an Andy Janovich.
That's right.
Yeah. Adam Archuleta was very big on questioning rewarding fullbacks on the broadcast. He was not understanding that of that. Yeah,
like the John Kuhn back in with the Green Bay Packers when he would score a lot of touchdowns. People would be very upset. Vulture, they would call it a vultured touchdown.
There you go. Yeah,
but they're doing it because they obviously think the opponent isn't
ready,
thinking about it, and when they do score, that means that it was a good call because it worked.
It did work. Yeah, absolutely. All right. That's all I'll have to say about the broadcast. Here was Baker on coming back and gutting it out after the injury.
I put in the work during the week, come out on Sundays because I truly love this game. I'm blessed to play it as a job. So it's just one of those things. You're going to have to grit things out. I'm not the only one that's dealing with injuries. And by no means is that the case. Everybody's fighting through something. The healthiest you are the whole year is when you show up for camp. After that, it's all downhill. So, I'm going to tough it out just because these guys are as well.
You're up. He's just such a leader. The thing about him is, though, and if I'm sure coaches grabbed him, AVP, and said, hey, man, listen, we don't need you throwing shoulders in on tackles. And get down.
We don't need you really blocking on reverses and taking on safeties in the open field. And
we love you.
And respect the hell out of it. We respect the hell of it.
Right.
We love it.
We love it. It's part of why you were drafted here. It's part of why you're the part of the face of the franchise, but we do not need that stuff.
How about and the polar opposite happened with the Indianapolis Colts, where an ankle sprain that may or may not even cause him to miss a game, Carson Wentz had a chance to go down and try to win that game for them. If he has success,
no mas.
If he has success, right? You have success, great. Even if you don't, your team is probably respecting that you did do that, and now you got neither.
It was a stunning
he
thing
took
to watch live.
Out.
He took himself out. Yeah, he stood there like this on the sideline.
Strange bird.
Strange dude. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, a lot of thoughts around Jarvis today and post-game. We know in MCL, we know week to week. Here was Nick Chubb on Jarvis going down.
Yeah, it was tough. After he went down, it took us a while to get going. I felt the energy kind of drop a little bit because Jarvis, he's a big part of our offense. He brings energy and intensity. He makes big plays. But like I said, next man up, D-Field got more opportunities to make plays, and he did for us. That's just our mentality. If a guy goes down, we're all prepared for it to step up, and I think our team did a good job with Jarvis going down today.
You're up. Nick hit on it there. It's not just the statistical accumulation, which is incredible for Jarvis. It's you can't help but get pumped up when you see him. You can't help but smile when you see him. He's such a coach on the field when he plays. We've time and time again mentioned the things he does in game that is thinking like a coach, and you lose all of that, and it takes wind out of the sails.
And as I said, he was a big part of the game plan in this one. And so, yeah, that really changed some of the calculus that you had. And the Browns offense did stall on that opening drive right after the first down that was gained on that screen to Jarvis Landry. And so it's a bummer. I know it snapped a streak for Jarvis of consecutive games with 2 or more receptions. That was probably the longest active streak in the NFL.
It was only better were Antonio Brown, Jerry Rice, and Tim Brown, maybe.
Yeah, so I think from an active standpoint, it was the longest.
It was the longest active. Yeah, 2 catches, and he, if he plays one more series, he gets the second, and then he continues. But no,
Jarvis, we love you.
Yeah,
we're here for you.
I mean, we wanted a jersey.
We want a jersey. Gibby doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it.
That's Jason. That's G-I.
That's a Jason
BS.
Now you would say, Jarvis, if you were going to go at him on social and be like, "Hey,
maybe Jarvis is going to need the jersey because he's going to play on Sunday."
Well, don't we have extras?
Why can't we have it even if he is playing? We love Jarvis. What's wrong with that? Why do we
just get an extra one?
We don't know which jersey. We don't know what uniform we're going to trot out.
Doesn't matter. Any that says 80 and Landry on it.
That's it. Any one of them.
You know, when we did the new uniforms and they asked the Miz, said you can have any jersey you want.
Yeah.
He wanted an 80.
By the way, wasn't he supposed to join us today?
He is supposed to join us, but he's in rehearsal. So the Miz is on.
He's got so much going on. He's on Dancing with
the Stars tonight.
Oh,
so you got to vote for him. It starts tonight.
Okay.
You've got to vote for him. The Miz, come on, our own. That's
he's
one of our
guy,
own.
Yeah,
we got to
the
support
Prince
him.
of Parma. We'll take care of him. Yeah, absolutely.
He's in rehearsal. He's trying to work it out.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
What have I've talked to both of you about my boys. And the one that's Abraham Lincoln, and what jersey does he wear and watch every game?
Of course.
Full suited.
That's right. That looks like an 80.
That's an 8-0.
Yeah, Gibby.
You should have brought it in.
No, we want. Why does it feel like we're swimming upstream? He's Chesty Gibby. It feels like he should be helping paddle the boat.
Like we're swimming upstream.
I don't understand here. Like, was this a crazy?
The best.
You're acting like we've requested the most insane thing you've ever heard. We work in the building for the Cleveland Browns. We're good friends with Brad Melland, the equipment manager.
Equipment manager of the year, please. 2-time.
Right. I mean,
two-time.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can you give me a Jarvis Landry jersey to put on the desk for the streamers?
Dead. He's totally fine.
We know that. Why would it have to be dead? Why can't we just support him?
There are other players that need our support as well.
I don't even want to think about it.
You don't want to put their jerseys up.
Well, first of all, not all the other players are as great and loyal to us as we are to them.
Great friend of the show.
Great friend of the show.
What about Taki Taki?
Great friend of
the show, but he's not Jarvis. Jarvis is here.
Jarvis is
on the show all the time. Heart and soul.
Get yourselves in trouble.
Let me ask you a question, Gibby. Week of the opener. Who was our Friday guest?
I believe it was Jarvis.
That's right.
Oh, that's right, Gibby. Walked right into that one.
That's right.
Swing and a drive.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the defense rests.
The defense rests. We didn't even have to leave.
He's the heart and soul of the team. The heart and soul of the team. It's one person.
He needs our heart, our collective heart, to get back healthy quickly.
I feel like
it's good to see.
I'm glad you liked
the greatest.
Much.
I did love that. The greatest example of swimming upstream is when we were going against the BPA a couple of years ago, and Gibby was acting as if he is not on this show.
Yeah. What about when Gibby?
This is your show. Gibby.
What about when Gibby? No, he would fight. Right.
He would fight his own show.
Yeah. What about when he basically a hostage situation with Grant Delpit, who
that was a hostage
out of the interview?
He had to edit it
Why
out.
isn't this Browns Daily with my guys Nathan and Beau?
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of Grant Delpit, dandy debut for him.
Boy,
here was Miles on Grant Delpit.
That was a hell of a hit. And, man, I wish we could have recovered the ball, but I'm dropping back in coverage thinking, why the hell am I back here? But I'm like, I'm going to make a play. I'm going to just try to get in his way. If I can get a pick, I'm going to do it. But I see him coming off free. I'm like, oh, this is going to be ESPN top 10. And, man, he laid a hit on him. And, man, he made his presence known.
You're up. That's what he was at LSU. That's why you and I were doing cartwheels when we drafted him.
5 sacks, 5 picks, 5 forced fumbles, I think, something like that.
He was a one-man wrecking crew at LSU, and that's what you hope he is here. And that's what it looked like he was, based on what we saw in Week 1. Coming up next, the Hoff will join the program for an entire hour on a Victory Monday. He's putting Steelers fans in body bags. We'll ask him about that. You can ask him questions and tweet them to Gibby at Browns_Daily. We will hit those at around 2:15 in the Hey Joe segment. I also want to tell you the Cleveland Browns and Taco Bell are helping Cleveland kids on Tuesday, September 21st. Kareem Hunt and Chomps will lead a Play 60 session at the Cleveland Boys and Girls Club, and Taco Bell will announce an exciting new initiative to support the Cleveland Boys and Girls Club. Find out more at bgcneo.org for information on that. The Hoff is up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Guys, great to be with you today on this glorious Victory Monday.
Glorious Victory Monday, and also you putting Steelers fans in body bags. I think that adds to the
feisty
fun.
on Twitter, Hoff.
I like that.
Going back and forth with the trolls under the bridge, Hoff.
Yeah. I'm not one of those guys that's just going to let something, the water run under the bridge with Steelers fans. No, if you're going to come at me with some bogus crap, I'm going to shoot right back with some facts. I'm going to hit you with science and facts, and you're going to lose, and you're going to get carried out in a body bag.
Yes.
So if you're coming at me, you better come at me strong with some real good information that's true, not just some biased crap.
He blinded him with science.
Right in the fact. That's a fact, Jack. He put you in a body bag. That's the way that goes. Hoff, this was it's interesting. It's where we are, I think, in terms of the expectations. You win by 10, and you're happy about that. Obviously, a little bit of a cloud with the Jarvis injury, Taki injured as well. Offensively, your quarterback has 2 incomplete passes. He's 19 to 21. You're able to get what you want in the ground game. Defensively, still some questions. Just big picture, what were your thoughts of what you saw yesterday here at First Energy?
Well, I think the Jarvis injury played a huge role, just like anybody who was watching or at the game. You could see that he's such the lifeblood of this offense from an energy standpoint, especially. And when he went down, it really took the wind out of the Browns' sails early on. And they just were a little bit, lackadaisical in that first half, kind of letting things happen to them rather than dictating the tempo and the flow of the game. But I think after halftime, it kind of changed. I don't know, sometimes halftime speeches are a little overblown, but clearly whatever happened in that locker room at halftime, they came out a better version of themselves. They kind of had that energy back like they had in week 1. And they played good football. And for me, it was a big growing moment for this team because they had adversity. They were able to overcome it. They ended up getting the win comfortably down the stretch. Baker Mayfield was really, really good again. And he's become really, really good on his quick passes, which is really exciting because that means he's decisive, right? And I think that was one of the big issues early on last season when he was in this offense. You could tell he wasn't comfortable, but now he's got that comfortable ability. He's decisive with his throws. He's commanding the huddle. He's got leadership over all 53. And so I think they're in a much better situation where they are this morning than where they were on Saturday because they faced that adversity. They had the injury, shoulder with Baker, the knee with Jarvis. They overcame it, and they were able to play better before it got away from them. Some of the teams that I played on, something bad happens or you're just not feeling it. You're not able to overcome it. And then all of a sudden the day's over and you lose and you look back and you say, that was one that we let slip away. They didn't let this one slip away. And to me, that's a big growth moment.
When you watched Jed Wills in this game try to gut it out and obviously wasn't able to finish, what did you see from him? And then I thought Blake Hansen, you and I have talked about this many times, off the best compliment you can give an offensive lineman is that you forget he was out there.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Blake Hansen's name once he went back into the field. So what did you see from Jed trying to gut it out and then ultimately when Blake took over?
Yeah, I love seeing Jed out there trying to gut it out, trying to get through it. I thought he played fairly well. You could tell he was definitely favoring that ankle when he was out there. I mean, he clearly was not his athletic twinkle-toed self when he was out there. But just seeing him give the effort was awesome because, the medical staff's not going to put him out there in week 2 if he's going to make it worse, right? So it's a matter of, hey, can you be effective? Can you go out there and play through the pain? So I think that was great. But also to have a guy on the bench who is able to come in there and maybe it's not the prettiest thing you've ever seen at left tackle, but he's getting the job done. And in the end, that's what you want. They're able to run the ball efficiently down the stretch, close the game out. Chubb had almost 100 yards, averaging almost 10 yards a carry, which is ungodly, but it seems like that's just what he does, especially in the second half of football games. So that's a compliment to the guys that were out there on the offensive line.
Yeah, and let's bore in on the Nick Chubb comment for a second because I know that there's people out there. Well, give him 20 carries and Hoff. My pushback on that
his
is
jersey in
we
the
do have
building
people
today.
wearing his jersey, which is appropriate. I mean, if you're going to wear a jersey, it's a good one. All we want is a Jarvis Landry jersey for the desk. Gibby won't get us one, Hoff. But in terms of Nick Chubb and his a lot of people worried like, well, why does he not get 20 carries? Look, man, it's a 17-game season, right?
Yes.
Like the games that we want to win are of course you want to win every one, but the one you want to win in January. You want a healthy Nick Chubb in January. And the fact that we have 2 A's, an A and a 1A, however you want to classify them, to me the game plan makes perfect sense to split these carries up early because Kareem Hunt's pretty dang good too.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, would it be fun for our ego if Nick Chubb had 20 carries and 200 yards every week for the first 6 games of the season? Yeah, I'd love it. Like, I love Nick Chubb. Who doesn't love Nick Chubb? Who doesn't love seeing that dude lead in the NFL and rushing, kind of like Derrick Henry? But, I mean, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. We're trying to win a championship here, right? We're not trying to win the stat sheet. We're not trying to put somebody up there as the leading rusher in the NFL. Like, those are great, but those are ancillary. Like, let's keep our focus where we want it. We're trying to win a championship, and our best opportunity to win a championship is keep Nick Chubb fresh and healthy, give those 2 great backs an opportunity to split the carries during the season so they're fresh down the stretch. So when January comes around and King Henry's worn out in Tennessee, we're blasting through them because we can give Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt 30 carries in the playoffs, and they're going to be fresh as a daisy.
Joe, one of the things that people have come out of this game, and it's lovely to be able to have, complaints or criticisms or concerns coming out of a victory. That's always wonderful. Is on the defensive side of the ball. Still struggled on 3rd downs against a team that's not expected to be one of the more potent offenses in the National Football League. I made the comment earlier, if this game had taken place in late November or into December, I'd be really concerned. It's the 2nd game of the season here in September. How long, can it take a defense with so many new pieces to gel, especially when we're playing so much zone, which my guess is relying upon communication and feel of what the other people and how they're going to react to certain things?
Yeah, zone takes a lot more time, obviously. It's much more alike to being an offensive lineman running a zone blocking scheme, right? You got to have chemistry, you got to be on the same page, you got to have communication, and you get there through reps. You get there through going out in practice and going out in games and passing off those route concepts, seeing the different splits in the alignment of the receiver and looking over to your buddy, and all you have to do is you look over there and all right, we know what's coming. We know how to pass it off. There's not going to be any busts in the game. Like we saw, if you watched the Chiefs-Ravens game last night, where there was that one opportunity where both Chiefs secondary players came up, they jumped the short stuff, they let the deep throw wide open for Lamar Jackson. Those are things that happen when you're playing zone and you're not communicating because you haven't played together all that long. So I think it will take a little bit of time. I think some of the 3rd down efficiency for the Texans offense that made our defense look bad was there was like I said early on, there just wasn't a lot of energy in that first half. But I think, like you mentioned, the big part of that is the zone coverage from the defense. But let's not forget, they played the Chiefs really well in the first week. I know there was complaints about Joe Woods and the defense, but look what the Ravens defense did to the Chiefs last night. I mean, if you look at those 2 things and you're trying to compare the Browns defense, did they play better against the Chiefs offense, or did the Ravens defense play better against the Chiefs offense? I'd say the Browns defense played better. And everyone kind of thinks that the Ravens defense is really good in the NFL right now. So I would maybe just kind of have a measured approach. Yes, we need to improve on defense. There's plenty of areas that we can do better, but let's pump the brakes. Let's not hit the panic button on that defense yet, because they're going to probably get a lot better during the season, whereas the offense is more of a finished product because of the amount of time they've been together.
What are you seeing from our defensive front? Because I think we all came into this season and thought that our defensive line would, after 2 games, probably have a combined 6 sacks, 5 sacks. They had none in this game, the sack coming from Grant Delpit. We'll talk about him in a little bit, Huff. But what have you seen from our defensive line, looking at through the lens of an offensive lineman with, this group of Miles and Clowney and Tack and the 2 Maliks? And certainly pressures are being generated. This week, not as many as last week. But what do you make of the kind of maybe the lack of, and sacks aren't the only stat, but the lack of production up front, if that's even a fair way to characterize it?
Yeah, well, I would say Patrick Mahomes in week 1, he's really hard to sack, right? There's so many times in a game where you have a clear shot at him and you just miss because he's athletic, he's very elusive. But also your defensive coordinator, he understands that the last thing you want to do is let Patrick Mahomes get out of the pocket. So you have to be much more measured when you're rushing the passer. So they're running a lot more stunts up front, which stunts can be good, but really the primary reason you run stunts is because you're trying to wad up rushing lanes specifically for the draw and for the quarterback. You're trying to take away those easy lanes that you see when the defensive ends rush up the field and the quarterback steps up and escapes the pocket, or he hands the ball off on a draw play. Like, that's what you're calling if you're in a situation on defense that you're expecting the offense to run draws or the quarterback's going to try to escape the pocket. So you have to be measured. It's harder to get sacks in those situations. When you have a quarterback that's just standing back there in the pocket, Katie bar the door. Like, you can get after him any way you want. You can leave your rushing lanes. You don't have to run twists and stunts. With that being said, this week, especially early on with Tyrod Taylor, he's a very good athlete too. So they had to be measured with their approach. They were running a lot of games, and so you're not going to have a lot of production there. All right, that's sort of like the watered down approach. The second approach is they weren't getting a lot of push, especially against the Chiefs, through the middle. And so Miles and Tack and Jadeveon were winning on the edge, but the quarterbacks were just stepping up. And so unless you have better push inside to collapse the pocket and take away the space for the quarterback to step up and get out of the pocket, like, you can win on the edge almost all day long, but you need some help from the inside. And so I think some of that is an issue. Last weekend or yesterday, they didn't have that push on the inside again. So that's clearly something that they're going to have to work on. And then I think Joe Woods needs to decide, like, how important is running my stunts and my games up front to try to take away quarterback running lanes and throwing lanes in the draw game versus how much should I just let Miles and Tack win? Just say, hey, I don't care where you win, if it's the B gap, it's the C gap, like, win your one-on-one battle. And I think that might be the direction they head, because there is risk to that, right? Obviously, if you leave your gap, there could be a late draw or a late zone handoff that, you're getting nailed for a big gain. Or if the quarterback gets outside the pocket and throws the ball down the field, that obviously puts a lot of pressure on your defensive secondary. But if we're not getting production from our front four, that is a really good option outside of just blitzing everybody.
Huff, how many years did you lose off your life when you saw Baker go down and you saw him come up with a left arm that didn't look like it could lift? I took 5 years for me.
Oh, I'm like, please, God, don't do that. I immediately ran to the fridge and grabbed 2 more beers because I'm like, I don't want to see what's happening right now. And then when I get back, I'm going to need some more numbness in my body. But thank God that guy's got the toughness of a heavyweight fighter, because for him to come back out, thank God it was his left shoulder too. But hopefully, dear God, I hope that the takeaway from the team and from Baker on this is we don't have to be a hero. Like in week 1, he got so much praise for going out there and being the lead blocker and trying to be aggressive. But dude, that's not your role. Don't make the tackle on an interception.
Yeah.
Just do the Peyton Manning. Make it look good, but get out of the way, because we need you to live another day. We don't care about you showing off your toughness and making a tackle or making a block.
That's right. Exactly right. I'm sure that was communicated to Six as well. Love your heart. We never doubt you.
Love it.
We don't need to ever see us throwing shoulders into tackles. That's not something that's needed going forward. All right, we'll do a little Hey Joe coming up next. We'll hand out some game balls, do some One Thought as well on a Victory Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau Bishop here from my great friends at Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's presents the other rules of football. Rule number 1, serving cooked-to-order chicken finger meals always earns you extra points. Rule 2, there is no penalty for excessive cane sauce dipping. Raising Cane's ready to tackle all your chicken finger game day needs. When it comes to winning game day, Cane's rules. One love and a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. All right, it is a Victory Monday, gentlemen, on the Joe Thomas Hour of Cleveland Browns Daily. Let's do some game balls. One player on offense, game ball, Hoff. Who do you got?
I like Demetric Felton. Can we call this his breakout game? Is this the game where we finally kind of saw what he can do from hey, let's split him out, put him in the slot, give him the football, and let him win with his athleticism on that touchdown, that spin move that he had? Looked like I was watching some type of game of Madden with a cheat code on. It was awesome to see. So I want to see more of that, especially if Jarvis is going to be out for a few weeks here with that MCL potentially. More Demetric Felton makes me more happy.
You know what I liked about that play? We mentioned that was the same play they ran for Jarvis early in the game. They just flipped the sides. Hoop comes in motion. He's able to get that block. Think about last year. I mean, how many times can either of you remember us running a true wide receiver screen?
Oh, no. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We never did. And sometimes those are just good, easy yards. And when you have guys that are elusive and frankly looked a lot like Eric Metcalf right there running.
That's great.
I will say, though, and tell me if you guys noticed this watching that play and the many highlights, there was a little LaShawn McCoy to the way that he was holding the ball out there like a loaf of bread.
A loaf of breadish.
It was quite a bit away from his body, and I said, Demetric, let's just go ahead and tighten that up a little bit.
In, coach.
When you get in the end zone. Also, how about Hop, did you notice when he got in there, he chucked the ball in the stands, and Batonio immediately went to the crowd and was like, a veteran move.
We need that.
We need that back. This is his kid's first ball. And he even said to him, what are you doing?
They got a little overwhelmed there. You could tell, like, instantly there was some buyer's remorse after that ball went into the stands. He's like, ooh, that may be one I want on the bookshelf one day when I'm talking to my boys at CBD.
That's right.
Yes.
I love that Joel always has the steady head.
Oh, he's always right there. He immediately went to the crowd and he goes,
ball. We're
bring
going
it
to need that back.
Mellon was on it on the sideline, too. Mellon said one of the guys, you need to go get that ball.
Yeah, that's good. When that happens, do you replace the ball?
Yeah, you give him
a different one, right?
Just not
that one. That one, because who do you have on offense? You're going off.
No, I hopefully they replace it and maybe sign a jersey. You know, you got to do something a little bit better, above and beyond, right? Appreciation.
Yeah,
I think helmet, jersey. You know, maybe take a picture with them, make them happy. Everyone's happy. Win-win. Those are the negotiations that everybody loves. The win-wins.
The win-win negotiations.
Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Who do you have your offensive game policy?
Real quick, Davion Davis, activated after his suspension, has been released by the Browns.
Oh.
He will go through the waivers process. If he's not claimed to a 53, the expectation or hope is that he would be back on the practice squad. They really liked him. But at this point, they'd have to put him straight 53 or not. The fact that this is happening is, in my mind, a good sign that Jarvis is not being placed on injured reserve, and they believe that he can be back faster than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's just a little note there. Maybe if we're paying attention to the scores. My offensive MVP is going to be Baker Mayfield because I will leave the last one to you. Maybe we'll bring the guy in here in the jersey and he can help announce it for you. But Baker Mayfield, 19 of 21, gutsy performance to come back out there. What does that do in the huddle, Huff? When you see him go, you know he's in pain because it was obvious. Everybody knew he was in a lot of pain. His arm is dangling. He runs in, runs back out, and then you're like, he's back. What's the vibe? What does that do for everybody?
The vibe is like energy to 100. It's awesome, and it's totally the opposite of like what we saw last night, Indianapolis Colts, Carson Wentz, right? Like, it's just sort of reinforced.
Crazy.
We talked about that earlier. That was crazy.
Here.
No, you're not skipping ahead. I mentioned that in the first hour. Just the stunning contrast.
The rewind.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a contrast. Exactly. Contrast makes everything more clear and easily understood. And it's just so on brand, though. And it's no surprise that, Baker Mayfield wanted to gut through it and be out there with his teammates. And when you see that as a teammate, it gives you a lift because whatever little maladies that you're dealing with become sort of nothings, and it gives you the energy to be able to go out there and do what you have to fight through some of the pain that everybody's obviously dealing with on a Sunday when you play in the NFL. It's a big man sport and it's very violent. But yeah, like you said, the contrast with what we saw in other places in the NFL is stark with Mr. Tough Guy Baker Mayfield. Love seeing it.
The two backs are awesome, but Nick Chubb's unbelievable. Obviously, that's the one you're alluding to as we have the jersey running around this building here today. Not being worn by Nick Chubb, mind you. But that's it. there's one day it'll come. We know it's going to happen. We've seen it enough in his career already. I'm so thankful he's a Brown for a long time. I'm so thankful we get to watch him play for a long time, that deal got done. It would have been brutal to have to watch and not have certainty on that. We have it. He'll be here. And we're going to have a game where he's going to get 22 carries for 187 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, that'll happen. But what he's capable, to have those two guys, what are they, 24 carries, 146 out of the two of them?
He scored in 8 straight games. That is not easy to do as a running back. That is a pretty strong streak.
Yeah, those two guys are incredible, and Chubb's just on another level. One player on defense. Z, we'll go to you first. Your game ball defensively.
I'll give it to Malcolm Smith. Malcolm Smith stepped in. Anthony Walker Jr. was down. He played 58 of our 60 or 59 of our 61 defensive snaps, all but 2. Was excellent in the middle of the field, getting people lined up, came up with a big interception at a moment when we needed it that led directly to points for the Cleveland Browns. So I'll give it to Malcolm Smith, a guy that had a rough week 1. And like I said many times, Travis Kelce makes a lot of linebackers and safeties look like they have had rough weeks. That's just what he does on a day-in, day-out basis. Did it last night against the Baltimore Ravens. Travis Kelce's a stud. Malcolm Smith bounced back in a game where we needed him, and I thought played at a very high level. He gets my game ball.
Huff?
Grant Delpit. I mean, that's the low-hanging fruit. Got a sack. Great to see him out there in his first action. He had 5 tackles in the game. I think it's exciting to watch a guy who can play all over the field a little bit like a guy that we didn't see the week before, Tyrann Mathieu. I really hope that he can kind of develop into that type of a player for us who can intercept a pass. He can get into the backfield and make a big hit on a running back. You can throw him in there in the blitz game, and he can blitz you from all over the field and give confusing looks to the other team's quarterback. So I'm hoping that this was just a taste to wet my whistle of what Grant Delpit can be in the future for the Brownies.
He throws himself at the line of scrimmage. Oh, my God. Young Joe. We lost him. He tumbled.
Hold on. I'm going to teach him.
Mini Joe just fell right off.
Did you touch him?
No, I didn't touch him. He just fell.
He just fell?
Oh, my God. The ghost.
Hold on.
Oh,
Guys.
Remnants of Joe.
Hold on. I'm going to fix him. Just let me take him into surgery, and I'm going to fix him. I'll be right back. I'm going to fix him.
Get young Joe fixed. Get Mini Joe fixed now.
Nice job.
Oh, Gibby
is put him on a pedestal that was unsafe and unstable.
We're going to fix him. All right.
So you guys see this isn't magic.
All right. So just for the people not on the stream, we have a Mini Joe bobblehead. He just tumbled, inexplicably tumbled. Anytime we have Hoff on, we want to be able to have him represented here in studio. Dr. Zegura is now performing some sort of surgery back there, Hoff. It looks like, I can't tell if it's open heart. It's definitely a compound fracture.
I love how Zegura just breaks things.
Why are you dancing on this? This is a serious moment.
I did it.
He's back. Oh, thank God. Hoff, Mini Joe had a compound fracture for sure. Let's put him in a little safer chance to succeed. Let's go off the pedestal for Hoff. Let's just put him on flat surface. There we go.
Thank you, Beau, for being the voice of reason.
There we go. He's
cleaning up Zegura's mess.
It was a compound fracture, Hoff. You're okay, though.
Oh, God. Oh. Back good as new. Thanks, Dr.
Goodness.
Z.
What a moment.
He goes, thanks, Dr. Z.
We had to do Hoff. I'm going to tell you something. Wow. We had to dip into some black magic there with shades of Khal Drogo. We had to call on some real spirits. But I can't believe how quickly.
You really did it. A lot of fast glue back there that you were able to get that sorted out.
Some magic.
A little bit of magic.
That's a little bit of magic there, folks.
I mean, because it's a Theismann type injury.
Oh, he was without a foot.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So we got you sorted out. He was footless on his left leg.
Footless off. Can't have that.
Can't have
that. What I was going to say on Delpit, a little bit like Paul Amala, and he's one of the best to ever play the game. But I'm just saying from a attack the line of scrimmage standpoint, Hoff, even on the sack we mentioned, but also when he came in and filled right before half. His ability to go from 18 yards deep to the line of scrimmage in about a half a second. It's impressive. He's something. All right.
That one was great, and I'm just glad that he was very sure of his keys that was going to be a run because he began his commitment.
He was committed to the run.
He began his commitment very early on that. If he had maybe tucked that and could have been not great.
Not great.
He was right.
He
knew
on it.
He was right.
All right, we have some Ask Joe questions. This from this is from Ned, the great Richie Fox. To the Hoff. What was the biggest injury that you were able to play through in your career? On that subject, do you have any moments where you surprised yourself with how tough you were?
So I get asked that question, and there's two things that usually come to mind. One, the hardest injury that I ever played through was I had a disc that ruptured in my back.
Ugh.
So bulging, I should say bulging. I guess there's a difference because if it goes all the way through and like touches your nerve, like that's when you have to have surgery and you're toast. Mine was just bulging out, and so it caused my back to spasm. And I think it was 2012. So the last 4 weeks of the season, you know, my wife's tying my shoes. I can't get out of bed. I can't get off the ground. Teammates started calling me the turtle because if I got on my back, they couldn't help me up. I couldn't get up. I had to roll over and do a push-up because I just couldn't bend my back at all.
Like a turtle.
Like a turtle. It was horrible. So that was probably the most difficult because you can't move your back. You can't bend over. Like, it's just painful and it's just awful. If anybody's ever had a back spasm, it's a terrible feeling and it's just with you constantly. And I had to deal with that for a month, which sucked. But the injury that was the closest to taking me out was when I had a grade 2 LCL, which is the lateral collateral ligament on the outside of my leg. It's kind of an unusual injury because your knee has to go out to injure that, unlike an MCL where your knee's going to the inside. That's how you tear an MCL. But anyways, I tore it in week 17 against the Steelers. Believe it or not, I was stretching my piriformis. What a mistake. And when I told the doctor that, he said that, like, in order to tear that ligament, you need like 1,700 pounds of force or something like that. And so he didn't believe me that I did it, stretching or that it was torn. So they just sent me back out there, and I played the rest of the game. And then it was after the game, I had an MRI, and he goes, "Holy cow, you're the first person in recorded history that's torn an LCL stretching. You maybe need to tone down your stretching." And I told him, well, I said my back was really tight, so I was really getting into that stretch. And he's like, yeah, don't do that again. So I ended up having to rehab.
Can you picture this?
4 weeks between.
No. What did you do? Okay, break this down for us. What exactly did you do that you put 1,700 pounds of pressure on your leg? This is more impressive than Miles breaking the ski machine, I've decided.
So, all right, imagine like if you're sitting in a chair and you take your ankle, so it was my left ankle, and you kind of fold it up like you're, crossing your legs, where your ankle is on top of your knee, right? So your left ankle is sitting on your right knee, right? Okay. And then what I was doing is I was doing that, but I was in a standing position, and then I took my hands, this is really stupid, I took my hands on my left knee that's, kind of bent in that folded position, and I was pressing down as hard as I could as I was squatting. So it's kind of a difficult position to get into from the jump. But once you're in there, you can put a lot of leverage on your knee, apparently more than
that's 1,700 pounds, Hop. That sounds outrageous.
I was never afraid of like going too far, like when I would stretch.
No kidding.
Because I never hurt myself before. But now I'm just a little bit more careful when I do that. So I ended up having to rehab during the month of January in order to go and play in the Pro Bowl, which of course the vital action of full speed Pro Bowl, you need to be ready. But the doc said, hey, if this would have happened like weeks before, you'd have been out 4 weeks. Like, this is not an injury that you just play around with. Like, you're out. Like, donezo. So I was really fortunate it happened in week 17, and the doctor didn't believe I could actually tear my LCL stretching.
Did you notice while you were out there that, hey, something is actually really wrong here?
Yes. So I knew something was wrong because I heard it pop.
I
heard my knee pop. Yeah, but you hear a lot of stuff pop. Yeah, right? You hear a lot of stuff pop. And I could feel it was a little bit loose, but I kind of had the mindset, this is going back to when I was in Pee Wee, like, I'm going to go and my body will tell my mind if I can't go anymore, not my mind telling my body, right? You see guys, like one of the guys we saw this past weekend, his mind tells his body, no, I don't think I can go, right? Me, I wanted to be out there, and like I said, hey, if this is torn and it's really bad, and I go and take a pass set and I stick my leg in the ground and James Harrison tries to run me over and he runs me over and I'm in a pool of goo on the ground because my knee buckled, like, I know that I can't go anymore. But like, I'm not going to tell myself before I get into that puddle of goo that I can't do it anymore. And so I went out there and, like, surprisingly enough, it didn't give out at all during the game and I was able to finish, and I guess life was good after that. Kept the streak alive, although at the time there was no snap streak, so it was just playing football, playing ball.
Just playing ball. Listen, some players have the goo test.
Right.
And then
others less.
They don't. That's right.
One more
Less
for you.
than goo.
Less than goo. Yeah. One more for you, Joe. This from at King Stefanski. What stood out to you the most on offense yesterday?
Obviously the running game, but one thing I mentioned. All right, so there's three things. That was a bad answer to the question. This would be poor listening comprehension here. The running game was awesome. Baker Mayfield was really good with his quick passes. I thought his decisiveness continued to be exceptional. But I like the fact that they had to deal with a little bit of adversity, and they were able to kind of keep their focus and steady the ship, play with a little more energy in the second half, play mistake-free, and close a team out, which is something that they didn't do the previous week against the Chiefs.
Very good, very good. Actually, I lied. I got one more for you here, Hoff. This is a fun one. This is from, I want to get this one right. This is from Browns YYC on Twitter. What sport would you have liked to have played professionally? You would love rugby. And did you guys see that rugby video making the rounds this weekend of the guy getting absolutely smoked in rugby?
That was one of the most violent hits I've ever seen in my entire life.
He was shot out of a cannon. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, look it up. He kicks it away, and then
The
this
man
person
is parallel to the ground.
projectile,
Yeah.
and looks like he is chiseled out of stone.
Yes,
and has ill intentions for this other human. I mean, it is a crushing.
It's awful.
Looks like a special effect, honestly.
It does. Yeah, it doesn't look real.
Yeah, I think. Oh my God! I just looked it up. Oh my God!
Found it quick.
He's alive. Talk about targeting. Jeez. And then the guy's just laying there. Oh, it's not fun to laugh at his pain, but it is kind of funny. Yeah, I think rugby would have been cool. Actually, we had a performance director, Adam Beard, who came from the rugby world. My last few years in the NFL, and he always told me, he's like, "Hey mate, you would have been a great rugby player," because he was Australian and he coached in the English rugby leagues and all over and stuff. So that would have been fun. I always loved basketball growing up because I was the tall, skinny guy for a long time. Then I stopped growing. Basketball, that money's pretty good in NBA.
Yeah, you'd have to have been a two guard in the NBA.
I know. I would have to shoot outside the free throw line, which is something I did not do in my high school career.
I have a feeling you'd be proficient at it, though.
I think you'd have been just fine.
Yeah, I think you'd have been just fine. All right, we will go around the league coming up next. You're listening to the Joe Thomas Hour on Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Gambling without setting limits on how much you're going to wager on how much is a lot like how long you'll play football without a game plan. It's probably not going to end up well, probably ends up in a loss. So always set limits before you bet. Get more tips like this at keepitfunohio.com. Time to go around the league, AFC North style. Everybody is 1-1. The Raiders go to Pittsburgh and get a win. The Chiefs last night. Bengals, I fear – I talked about this earlier in the show, Hoff. I fear for Joe Burrow's life and his career, and I'm not even being facetious. Like, he is getting bludgeoned by their offensive line, especially the middle of their offensive line. It's really
Not
hopeless. No, they just cave it in week after week. What do you make of what happened yesterday in the AFC North, Hoff?
Well, obviously the Ravens stealing one from the Chiefs, that hurt me a little bit. Very impressive the way John Harbaugh continues to overcome the adversity in Baltimore with all the injuries that they've had, and they find a way to win. Lamar Jackson started the game so poorly, 2 interceptions in the first quarter. One goes for a pick 6. But the resolve on his part to be able to put that behind him like a cornerback and say, you know what, that's not going to affect me anymore. I'm going to have my best game of my career moving forward from this point. That was really impressive. You already touched on the Bengals. The Steelers, hey, after looking really good in week 1, I'm feeling a lot better about our matchups against the Steelers here now after watching, their offensive line still can't run block, and they can't pass block either, which that was supposed to be their emphasis this offseason. We're going to get back to the old Steelers of running the football, and we're going to block for Big Ben. Well, they didn't do that, and T.J. Watt got dinged up in the game, so they had to start blitzing a lot more, which they didn't have to do in week 1. So certainly something to watch for me is, hey, if their defense can't be elite, like how can the Steelers compete with the better teams in the AFC if Big Ben can't throw the ball down the field, their offensive line can't run block or pass block, and the defense, in order to create pressure, if TJ's not in there, they have to blitz a lot, which changes the dynamic a ton for that secondary.
And week 1, it was just a dominating defensive performance against the Bills team that for some reason didn't have the right game plan that week. The Bills obviously did this week. They stomped Miami.
Yeah.
And it just shows you, how 1 week, how important a game plan can actually be. Ben was dreadful in week 1. He was dreadful again this week.
He was this week.
I think he's done.
Najee Harris has only not played, I think, 3 plays for them this year. He's in every play. They can't, to Hoff's point, they cannot get him going. Ben missed him.
He can't throw him a 5-yard pass.
Probably a half dozen wide open checkdowns. He couldn't throw a check down to him. It's
like knob block.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. A couple of things on the Ravens. For fans of The Wire, that's a good job out of them honoring Michael K. Williams, the actor who played Omar in The Wire, with the whistling. Did you guys hear that before the Ravens were introduced?
No.
So before the Ravens took the field, they played Omar from The Wire whistling over the speakers.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about chills.
That was pretty awesome.
That's a pretty dang good job out of them in honor of Michael K. Williams, who passed a couple of weeks ago. And I thought it was a cool moment that was captured on with John Harbaugh saying, "Lamar, do you want to go for it? Now, I think John Harbaugh probably knew he was going to go for it anyway because you can't give it back to Mahomes.
Of course.
But that was to create the buy-in, like, I got your back, you got my back.
Just
Let's
like
go
in
get
Seattle,
a first down.
that's when it really kind of launched them a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was sweet.
All right, when we go, we're about to go. Go ahead, Joe.
It's just a smart understanding of social studies, right, or psychology, right?
Yep.
For John Harbaugh, the pressure's on him whether Lamar says go for it or don't go for it, right? Because he's ultimately the one that has to make the decision, and if they don't get it, he can't just pass the buck to Lamar, like it stops with him. But if they go for it and they get it, he has built a relationship further with his quarterback, and the whole team sees it. So just a great job by him. I mean, those are the little things that you don't always get to see. What makes a head coach great, like building that trust, building the foundation within that locker room. And it's those moments like that. It was so cool that it was actually caught on television for everybody to be able to see, how good John Harbaugh is, understanding interpersonal relationships. That was awesome.
It's incredible where he went from, at some point, it felt like he was a lame duck coach in that season with Joe Flacco.
Absolutely.
And they go to Lamar, and the rest, as they say, is history there. Before we get into Around the League, I got to talk about something. It happened in our game. I saw it in the Seattle-Tennessee game. These taunting calls are absurd. That guy made a nice play against us. He spun the ball. Big deal. This is football. These people put their lives on the line. They put their health on the line. It's an emotion. It's got to be played with emotion. The whole thing is let's get everybody fired up, crowd going nuts. Let's get all this energy, all this stuff going on, and you make a pass breakup and you can't get up and go incomplete. Like, the players don't care. The receiver doesn't care that somebody did that in his face. He wants to score and then spike the ball in that guy's face. So what?
Joe, as someone who played as long as you did and is aware of how these type of things come about, why was this a point of emphasis? Why does this happen?
Some old stodgy guy that's sitting in there in the rules committee saying, oh, we need to get rid of the unsportsmanlike conduct between guys. I have no idea. I'm with you guys. I think there's universal outrage at this ridiculous taunting penalties that it's like a pandemic throughout the NFL right now of guys just getting excited and getting 15-yard penalties. It's dumb. It reminds me a little bit of, remember, man, when I was playing about 7 years ago, there was this big emphasis on reducing celebrations after touchdowns. Like, if you went to the ground when you were celebrating, it was a 15-yarder. If, you did anything that was choreographed, it was a 15-yarder. Like, they were just way over the top with enforcing celebrations. And finally, the players went to him, and rightfully so, and said, this is ridiculous. Why are we trying to take the fun and the entertainment out of a game, which in the end, this is an entertainment business. Let's be honest. It's a sport, yeah, but in the end, we're trying to get people to watch and get people excited. And that's what celebrations do. People get excited. The players love doing it. The fans love it. And then the next year, of course, what were they doing? They were selling commercials for all the different celebrations, right? Yeah. And so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that there's enough of an outrage from the players and from fans saying, look, if I'm a receiver and I go up and I moss somebody and make a great play and I get up and I spin the ball and I say something or I flex, like, that's what the fans want. And even the DB that's laying on the ground, he's not going to be that mad because he's the one that gave up the play. And in the end, like you said, Beau, as soon as he has the opportunity to make the play, he's going to do the same thing back to him. That's fun. That's back and forth. That's the competition that we all want to see. Don't take the emotion and the energy out of the game. It's so stupid. They need to do something about that right now.
Immediately. I think they
Fix
need
it this
immediate
week.
action. Immediately.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in Mean Girls when he gets everybody, when Tim Meadows gets everybody. Immediately.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Immediately. Listen, at least go to a warning system. Okay, you got your one taunt. That's a warning. If you taunt again, then it's 15 yards. Like, 15 yards is a massive amount in the National Football League.
I think the only thing that's going on right now that's worse in the sport is the college targeting rule.
Oh, my
God.
That's the only thing that's worse. Oh. But this is in that category. That is the college targeting rule.
A kicker got thrown out of a game on an opening kickoff.
It's
a kicker.
It's just an insane rule.
Who's he targeting? What does he know about form tackling? He's a kicker.
Right. Exactly right. All right, our time running short with the great Hoff.
No!
Unfortunately.
At least
Bears.
we saved him. Look at
Bears
him.
Sunday. He's whole again.
Footless no more.
That's Mini Joe. He's there. Bears Sunday. My hunch. I know that there's some bone bruise now with Dalton officially, so it's going to be Fields on Sunday here. Rookie quarterback, first start, our place. You like those odds, I would think, Joe.
Yeah, I love the odds. I mean, I think it's a cool story. Obviously, Justin Fields playing at Ohio State, coming back for his first start. Bears fans are going to be so excited. I've got a bunch of friends being in Wisconsin, so close to Chicago. So many of my buddies, big Bears fans, and they've been just dying to have Justin Fields out there because they want the excitement, right? And they want to see the future right now. They don't want to see Andy Dalton. He's not the future, even though he might give them the best chance to win. Like, let's go. Let's get Justin Fields out there. Let's get him to take his lumps and to grow and become the franchise we think he's going to be. So I think, obviously, it's a good situation for the Browns because on offense, he's not going to be really good at reading the defense and reading the coverage. So it's going to be a dumbed-down version of the offense. But the thing you got to be careful about is a rookie quarterback, what's the best thing that they can do? They can extend plays with their feet, and they can beat you in unconventional off-script ways. And so that's what the Browns are really going to have to be concerned about. I hate to say it, but you're probably going to see a game plan with a lot of zone coverage again, Nathan, because that gives you an opportunity to get a lot of guys in the secondary with their eyes on the quarterback when he scrambles, because just like you saw in the game yesterday, like, they won because Justin Fields converted a long third down with his legs. That didn't take any understanding of the playbook. That was just him being a good athlete and being a good running back. And you got to guard against that. That is the biggest thing that the Browns defense needs to prepare themselves for this week. Yeah, I think they're going to get some turnovers. They're going to get some sacks because he's going to be confused at times. He's going to eat the football. but you got to be worried. If it's a close game, you can't let him use his legs to convert and make some big plays. I think we played Deshaun Watson like in his rookie season, I want to say.
We did.
And he didn't know cover 1 from cover 3. But when he pulled the ball down, he was so dangerous and scary. And you can win like that with a rookie quarterback. So that's the big word of caution there for the Browns defense.
Beautiful. Hoff, great talking to you. Maybe next week, face-to-face, huh?
Let's do it, boys. I can't wait.
Oh,
Let's go.
Pure joy. Pure joy.
By
What a treat.
the way, I believe it was Kevin Hogan versus Deshaun Watson.
Oh.
Those many years ago.
I was there.
That was
Unfortunately.
I was there. What a way to leave. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau here for my guys at Weather Seal Home Services. Do you have a leaky roof, loose shingles, roof discoloration? Don't head into the winter with a bad roof. Call Weather Seal Home Services now and get a beautiful new roof before the season ends. Plus, choose between free gutters or Gutter Guard. Also get up to 7 years, 0 interest with approved credit. That's right, 7 years, 0 interest. Trust in Weather Seal to do the job right for the best price and the lowest monthly payments. Call 877-351-SEAL or go to weathersealhomeservices.com. Lions and Packers. Lions in all white uniforms at Lambeau. I have 2 words for you.
Ram it. Yeah, this one should be. I think this is a statement game, and the Lions are just the wrong team, the wrong place at the wrong time.
If it's not a ram it, then the fix is in, and he's sabotaged.
And then we can have. And tomorrow's show is going to be so fun. I'm telling all of y'all, it's sabotage.
If it's sabotage on the Manning cast tonight, and they have to witness sabotage,
goodness.
oh my gosh,
they are going to be loving it.
That would be tremendous.